Hello, everyone. I'm Kevin, and I'm one of the co founders of the Table Collective. If you look on our website, you will find that the Table Collective is an interspiritual creative community which focuses on the cultivation of our compassionate, creative, and connected lives through the mindful sharing of art and spirituality. Mindful sharing. I've been thinking a lot about that lately and wondering what would mindful sharing look like if it weren't just applied to art and spirituality, but to say the way that we communicate with one another in social media or in the news or in posting our various opinions about different issues. Uh, I've been paying attention to the news and to social media over these recent weeks, and I've often found myself asking myself, what if we were more mindful in what we shared? And by sharing, I don't just mean mindful in what we say or post or tell other people, but also in how we listen to what other people are saying and posting and telling. What if we were more mindful? And what would that mean? What would mindful sharing look like in that situation? I think at a minimum, mindful sharing would mean reminding myself of five things that came to my mind as I thought about this. And this applies regardless of whether we vote red or blue. Across the spectrum, reminding ourselves of these five things, I think would contribute to mindful sharing. First, remember to pay attention to my own inner emotional reactions as I see something someone has posted or listen to something that someone is saying or as I listen to different news networks. What's going on inside of me? Really paying attention to that and then asking myself why? Why am I feeling that? Whether it's agitation or encouragement or whatever, anger, whatever it may be. Remember to pay attention to what's happening inside myself and asking why. Second, remember to grant others charitable assumptions, meaning that rather than immediately assuming the worst motivation or intention in someone, to actually first assume the best. I might be proven wrong later, but to start with a charitable assumption. Third, to remember that behind the anger, if that's what I'm sensing in someone's post or comment, behind the anger, to look for the pain. And then not only find that pain or assume that that's there, but to try to empathize with the pain behind the anger that I'm sensing in someone's post or comments or editorial or whatever it may be. Again, that may not mean that I eventually excuse what they're voicing, the opinions that they have, but I'm looking for what's behind it and then trying to empathize with that person. Empathy doesn't mean necessarily I'll end up agreeing, but it's a starting point for human connection. And then next, to remember something as simple as counting to 10 before I respond. Better yet, rather than just counting to 10, what if I sleep on it for a night before I draft a response or write a comment or before I hit send or before I leave a message or before I call someone and voice my opinions? And then finally, remembering, I think mindful sharing means remembering that the primary reason to voice our differences is not to win or to convince, but to learn. That's the very first thing. And as I learn, I'm going to be more able to engage with others and share what I'm thinking as well. Well, it seems like a lot to remember, at least in the moment. And actually, I think mindful sharing might be best summed up in a very simple phrase, wise words from 2,000 years ago. And again, whether we vote red or blue, I think these words really apply. And those words are this, or these: be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. That to me sort of epitomizes what mindful sharing might be in the context that I'm using that here in these comments. And it requires mindfulness to actually be quick to listen before I start speaking, and before I allow my emotions of anger or frustration or whatever it may be to begin to cloud what I might say or shape what I might say, to be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to anger. This is not a habit that is just gained in the moment of conflict. I can't just sort of say, "Oh, yes, I think I'm going to be more like that," and then find myself swept away in the moment the next time that I'm engaging or seeing somebody post something. This is cultivated in the day-to-day process of developing the habits of soul that can enable mindfulness to be ready at the moment so that I can turn it on when needed. And that's one reason why I think that what we're doing in Table Collective is so important and why it means so much to me. Again, cultivating compassionate, creative, connected lives through mindful sharing. I I really wish for and hope for and long for a day when there would be much more mindfulness in our world, and perhaps maybe that could start today with greater mindfulness in what I share and do and think in me today, and perhaps for you as well. Thank you.